morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Legendary. Happy Thursday. We are live this morning with another awesome guest who is a ball of energy already. So I'm super excited about this interview. So get ready. Please welcome Brianna to the show. Did I get your name right, or are we Brianna?
You nailed it. Thank you.
All right, Brianna, it is. Awesome.
Yes.
Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm very excited to be here because Wake Up Legendary so inspires me. So I was like, oh, I can't wait to go on and tell my story.
Oh, I love it. And man, what a story. You are a busy lady.
Oh, very much so. Yes.
You are like, if somebody is worried they don't have enough time.
I don't have time for excuses, though.
This is the interview for you.
Yeah. I'm not one for excuses. So I definitely find my own audience that enjoys that type of motivation because
right.
I have empathy, but I'm also like, do you need to hear all the things we're doing? You're fine. You got this.
Right. So basically, one of the things that detracts people from your following, which is good, or brings them in, is you got to be ready to take action. There's no pity parties. There's no victim mindset. No, I'll get to it. You're like, no, you're going to get to it right now because
that's
all of these things.
That is pretty common. Yeah. I'm a very loving human being. So naturally I have a lot of people that I talk to and we always find a common ground, but I'm just very much the person to put it into play.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right. So everyone knows what we're talking about. Give us the backstory of all that you and your family do.
Sure. So I was telling Joanne I get long-winded. So you either just cut me off or we'll make it what it is. But about a year and I'm going to say a year and a half ago now, I left a very good career. I was a sales rep. And after our third daughter, I went back for a couple of weeks after having her. And I was like, I can't do this. I need to be home. Our family was it just felt chaotic. I'd get home and he'd get home and we just didn't have time to decompress and be intentional with our family and be present. So I walked away from a career that I absolutely loved, but went into stay-at-home mom, took a little bit to transition. That takes a lot. And that's part of, I talk to a lot of moms on social platforms that are in the exact same stage of okay, I just left to be a stay-at-home mom. So I have a lot of information for that, leaving a high-end career to stay-at-home mom. At some point along the line, my husband we've always owned a company. He's a welding inspector and educator. And a lot of people are like, what the heck is that? But any of the big buildings that go up, the big beams, my husband is the one who inspects them and gives them okay, this building's not going to fail or whatever it is. Right. So he's always stayed really busy with that, but he had a history of teaching welding to students. And in our area, in the Black Hills where we're at, we're seeing a huge need for that trade, but just not a lot of experience. And I was home and my husband said, I would love to open an academy, nothing crazy, but just to help students. So that kind of took off while I was at home. And at the same time, I took a very small remote work from home position that just allowed me to kind of cover benefits and things like that. Being, when you own your own companies, all that stuff gets really expensive. So I was doing a remote work from home job. We did all the business plans, decided we're going to roll it out. And that's how I found affiliate marketing, is because I had a degree in marketing and I'm like, I got this. Well, I don't got it. Everything's changing. Right. So, that's how I actually found affiliate marketing. And then once I found it, I was like, I'm doing this for me first. As filling my cup, and then I'm going to roll it out to our businesses, which I'm getting ready to do here next month. So together we run two businesses. I'm the behind the scenes gal. I do all the things for the company, books wise and everything. And then I manage or run our kids to school, take care of our child. And then I do this and my remote job from home. So I'm definitely busy. I use every time wisely.
And you have 3 kids.
3 children. Yep. Yeah. And they're all I have a 9, 6, and a 1-year-old.
Busy.
Yeah. And a part of that is kind of where we're at. I quit my job. And then a few months later, my husband and I were absolutely crazy and said, let's just sell our house and about everything we own. And I was like, well, what are we going to do? He's like, I don't know, but the sky's the limit. So we sold our house and about 75% of our belongings. We're living in this very tiny 2-bedroom like cabin with all of us. But honestly, we wouldn't be where we're at if we didn't do that, because we've learned to simplify. We've learned to prioritize what's important. So yeah, we completely flipped our life 180 degrees in the last year.
Okay. First of all, talk about stepping through fear for your bigger goals. I saw in your questionnaire, you shared that a little bit, that you're building your empire.
Yes. Yeah.
You have huge goals, you and your husband, for your family. Mm-hmm. But the only way to do that now, to get there, are to take these, I don't even know if I call them sacrifices, but make adjustments to your lifestyle and your schedule and go all in with everything now.
Yeah, I would say it is a sacrifice. There are days, I don't know if anyone's lived in a tiny home or a camp or anything with children, and there's days where you're like, but then there's other days where it's an honest blessing. Like we don't have the life stressors or pressures that, once we did walk through, and we understand that, which I think makes it very relatable for me when I'm talking to so many people or connecting with people. I remember years and years ago I remember what it felt like to live paycheck to paycheck and all of that. But living simple has opened so many doors for us that it does have its sacrifice, but it's not hard for us at all to see the main goal at all.
And the bigger picture, and to keep stepping forward towards that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So we got a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, you can drill me. I want to inspire other people that are out there in this position.
Where along the line, so you guys had a house, you were living the typical situation, paycheck to paycheck. There's this desire for more, to be entrepreneurs, to have your own businesses.
Yep.
Did you have that plan when you sold the house and sold all your belongings, and that was the goal, to use that income? Or was it, let's just do this and see where we land?
So we weren't paycheck to paycheck when we sold.
Okay.
What we were running into, and I mean, everyone knows the market's crazy, but in South Dakota, everyone was flooding to South Dakota. So right at the time where we're like, we're going to build a house and we're going to do this beautiful house, we weren't finding anything. And it was very, very frustrating, because we're like, we first have to, I mean, we can live in a camper for a couple months, but we could sell our house and live in a camper. But what if the house falls through? It was a cutthroat market. So at that point we were like, well, what are we going to do? We're ready for our big house, our dream house. Let's do it. And it just wasn't, I mean, I always say I make a plan and God laughs, and we go a totally different direction. So when that was happening and we just weren't finding land, because we want to have a lot of land. We want 40, 50 plus acres. We both grew up agricultural life, and we wanted to bring that back, and we just weren't finding anything. So at that point, my parents said, we have this tiny cabin. You can totally stay in it as long as you need to. And I was like, I'm never doing that. We are on track for our goals. And then my husband's like, we're doing it. And so we had to kind of walk through it and discuss. But once we sold it, I think the simplicity of our life allowed our brains to kind of slow down and start defining what was important, start piecing things together. I was not on the rat race anymore. I was able to support my husband a lot more, because we were both working 9 to 5s, but in all honesty, we were both working 50 hours or more a week.
Right.
So there was just not enough time for us to slow down and be intentional of where we really wanted to go. So all things played in our favor, because once our mind settled and we had more time and we could have peace in our home, and he would come home and our house was functional and it wasn't chaos, and there was just a lot of things. And that's when the ideas started flowing for the school. And then, what do you want to do? And now we're like, I don't even think we want to buy. I think we're going straight into our real estate goal, which is one of my huge goals. Is I think we're just going to start buying up real estate right now while we're in the interim, but we have no idea. But that's just where we're at. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you have a work from home job.
Yep.
You're helping 2 businesses build with your spouse.
Yep.
How did, I'm going to add a 4th. I'm going to add digital marketing to this mix. How did that process happen?
It was, first of all, I'm an entrepreneur mindset already. So for those watching that maybe are hesitant or don't have that edge, they might not be as relatable to me, but I literally saw it at the worst time. So Jessica Mulatto, I don't know if I'm saying her last name. I always butcher it and she laughs, but she's my mentor and I was the one who reached out to her. And as soon as she said it, I was like, I'm all in, but I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like it didn't take me but a second to realize what it is and what it can do. There was no hesitation. It was like, okay, if I have to grind for the next year or two and have lack of sleep for like longevity for my family and generational wealth, like I'll do it. So there was no hesitation. And how I came across it was because I was looking for ideas to find different ways to advertise and market for our Welding Academy. And then I came across Jessica. And then it was like, I watched her for like 2 or 3 months. And I'm like, I still make fun. Like everyone who says, I watched for too long to realize how I could implement this in my life. I was that girl. So I'm so relatable in that stage. But I literally remember when I told her, I was like, okay, I'm all in. And it was beginning of September. We had a 2-week huge vacation we finally planned with our family, and we were launching our business mid-October. Not sure why I did it, but it took me a little bit to get through the challenge and the training. But by end of November, I remember I started my affiliate marketing, and December 5th, we opened the school. So I don't know. I think it's just my entrepreneurship.
I get it because I'm that same mindset, and it's just crazy when you look back at all the things that, me and my husband did over the years. But yeah, that's, I think for those that are just scared to even finish day 3, you can do it. You can do it. You can make this happen.
I thought I was pretty tech savvy, but now like on my lives, I tell people I was not tech savvy. I was not. I had to rewatch day 1, 2, and 3 multiple times until it like clicked. And, the first time I'm like just writing down all the notes. The second time I was like, oh, now my ideas are flowing. Like, what do I want to do with this? How do I want to do it? And by the third time, it was all piecing together for me. But for jumping in and deciding shouldn't I, was there hesitancy? There was none. I remember my husband came home and I said, I'm doing this thing, but I'm not telling any friends or family about it. And he said, cool, what are we doing? He was just like, oh gosh, what are we doing? But so it's been great since.
I love it. Okay. There's a few things that I want everyone to realize and really take note of. One, you and pretty much every guest that we've had recently share that they first started following someone online and they didn't buy the challenge for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But then they go and become an affiliate, whether it's for us or in another niche, and they expect the first viewer to buy whatever it is that they're promoting.
Yes.
In that moment. But it took probably them, you, every other person that's come through this challenge, 3, 4, 5 months. And if you give up on month 1, week 6, that person was just waiting another 2 months and they were going to buy from you. You just had to keep showing up. And that's where that consistency piece comes in, that you've got to remember that 200 views, 300 views is still 200, 300 people. And at some point, somebody's going to take action when you keep showing up to them.
Yes. I've had a lot of people come out to me. They're like, okay, I've been watching you. Like, what is this? And I was like, it's so funny and it's so relatable because it's so similar to how I reached out to Jessica that I'm like, that is not an issue for me. When someone actually takes the step to talk to me, I'm like, I'm just proud that you reached out and asked questions and asked the honest truth about it. And then a lot of times in my conversation, I'm just so real that a lot of them are like, holy, are you telling me I've been clicking on affiliate links for a long time? I'm like, yes, I am. Like the majority of the things you're buying online are from an affiliate link. And then we walk through examples. So I would say I have really big goals and my goal is huge. And so from the beginning, I've never had the like, oh, I'm going to see how it goes and let it fizzle out. I was like, I'm going to do this till my fingers bleed. I don't care if it takes 2 years. Like my mental state has been where it needs to be from the beginning, but you still have your days and you still have your times where, if you're a mother or if you're not, but the children, everyone's sick or whatever. And you're just like, ugh, I can't. I always look at my goals. I love Dave's millionaire mindset. Yeah. There's actually like a 10-minute clip in there that I forward to, listen to, and then usually turn it off. Like there's specific clips he talks about that I re-listen to, because everyone's race is different. And I've told my husband that I don't care if I'm doing this for 2 years, like I'm here and I'm for it. And if you have that longevity mindset, you'll be fine. I think I'm always coaching up and encouraging. I work with a lot of women naturally because that's just what meets my niche. But a lot of them are like, okay, it's been a month and a half. Like, I'm just feeling so defeated. And I'm like, you need a bigger why. And then I'm always like drilling home what Dave's talking about. Like, you need a bigger why, because your why is not big enough to want to wake up and show up. Because if you let that thought come in, you're portraying that on your social media. You're portraying that on your videos, or however you like that. Defeat and self-doubt is starting to radiate to your social media, and you can't have that. You just can't. You have to believe in yourself.
Right? Yeah. Wild. Absolutely amazing. I love it. And I'm going to just address you. You liked day 3. You went and got a degree in marketing in college, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking like, I don't know.
You have a college degree in marketing.
Yes. And they never once talked about this. Not once.
Right. And every business that exists needs marketing, and every business is online. And somebody made a comment that they didn't really love day 3. They thought we were teaching click and bait process, but it's not. It's building a funnel. It's building how to get opt-ins. It's building how to have bridge pages, sales pages that lead to checkout pages. Everything you buy online goes through that exact same process. You definitely need to watch what headlines, the copy is important. Yes, you shouldn't be switching, like if they feel like it's this offer and then it becomes something else.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Right?
But guess what? People can unsubscribe.
And they can
unsubscribe. If they think it's clickbait, let them choose it's clickbait. You speak to your audience and you move forward. I don't think like that. I really don't. So for example, our welding academy, I haven't done much via social yet, honestly, because it took off. And like what our goal was, we hit it by like our goal for 2023, we hit it by February. And I was like, oh, so I didn't necessarily need to push that as hard. So I put a lot of my focus towards other things. But I can say day number 3 is what I set up with our school right off the bat. Instead of setting up this big, long, fancy website, I simply did a landing page until we get going and I figure out what people need and what their why is, because I don't know yet. And so we set up a landing page and I have hundreds of emails and we send out campaigns to what makes sense to them and what's going on with the academy. But I'm not necessarily pitching a product of like, hey, work from home essentials or whatever it is, but we are connecting with our audience and still talking to them. It's been absolutely key for us.
Yeah, it's huge. That day 3 is such a valuable day in the challenge. And it holds so much information that it's just given. It's not gatekept on day 3 at all. It really walks you through a process, just like you shared, that you can go implement into your welding school immediately to start getting leads, to start growing your email list, to start connecting with your ideal audience so that you can communicate your future details as you grow your business.
So like right now we use it as like a newsletter and, we're having a day in the field for students. It's more like info based, but we always have a call to action in every single thing I send. And it's sometimes you can't, and I'm still learning how to storytell and call to action. Like when I always watch stuff with Dave, I'm like, oh, he's like an expert. Like, how do you even think like that? But because it takes a lot of time to learn. But I do, like he says, go out and study those that are doing it well. That's all I did with the school is I studied things that were working well. And I tried to resemble it into what our school said. And so even if I'm not selling them or promoting a certain product, I'm always doing a call to action in every single email I send for our school.
Exactly. Yes. So it doesn't have to be a click to buy. There's so many other call to actions. Join my group. Follow our page. Go check us out on Instagram. Join our weekly newsletter to stay up to date, get tips on this, whatever it is. There's so many different call to actions.
Yeah. No, I love it. Like digital marketing. Oh man.
I love it too. I love every second of it.
Yeah. Well, my family, it's funny thing is like, we have yet to tell my family anything. I've had 2 of my really good friends find me on social media and they're like, why haven't you told me about this? And I was like, because like, this is my thing. I get to hold it to myself and do it the way I want without having to justify. And also, me and my husband are in a stage of growth. So I do a lot of podcasts and I'm listening to books all the time. And a lot of times they say it's okay to protect that space until you're at the point. And so I'm just in protect space because I don't necessarily have the time to spend all this time to explain myself. I'm like, nope, I'm just doing my thing over here.
Yeah. I mean, I still protect my space and I've been online for like a decade or more, right?
Yeah.
Some people just don't understand and they're unwilling to, and it's not my job to like try and beat it into their head over and over. So it's just easier that way. I don't go and ask for every detail of their job.
Exactly.
I don't need to give them every detail of mine.
Like, what are you doing online? Like, there's just a persona on certain people that like online is just like, ooh, but I'm like, you buy half your stuff online. Like, why do you?
I think they probably buy more than half their stuff online.
But anyways, yeah.
It's the amount of online buying that's happening. And I know I was going down this path with a friend recently, and I was like, look, every third post is an ad. Up, affiliate link. Up, affiliate ad. Affiliate ad. Affiliate ad. Oh, there's just Nike. Okay, next. It's just, and it's eye-opening because people just don't realize it.
Oh, I know. But I didn't either. I mean, I was some of them I was aware of, but there were so many others that I was like, she's genius. Like, she is genius. I was like going back and all the people I bought from. And once I understood it, there was no going back for me because I was like, there's only like the sky is the limit. I could do, master this and roll to this. Like my mind was just, I loved it. I think the biggest challenge for anyone and where most people get defeated is the comparison game and your social media, because you could do the exact same thing or very similar thing to someone over here and they're getting thousands of views and all these followers and you're doing similar and you're showing up every day and you got 100 followers. And so that's what I see the most is people really get in a comparison game and then they get down on themselves that they haven't whatever in, the month's time, 2 months time. And I just don't let that bother me. And I'm just always in experiment phase. Like, I'm going to try this for a few weeks and see what happens. Because some of that is true talent, but some of that is like the luck of the social media. Like what is the algorithm going to do for you? What are they going to push out? So I think that's the biggest hiccup for most people online is they either don't see their instant success and they give up, or they drown in knowing what to do on social.
Yeah. The comparing and modeling of content is helpful and hurtful at the same time.
Very much so. Yep.
Right. So you can go find someone else and go, oh, I saw 4 different affiliates in my niche creating this piece of content and I'm going to recreate it myself. And it didn't go anywhere. Well, those 4 affiliates might be in a different stage of their strategy. So it works for their following and it's not going to work for where you are in your strategy, which should be a growth strategy, more a connection strategy than a conversion strategy. So you have to be willing, like you said, experiment. And if the algorithm isn't playing nice, do something different.
Yes.
With your content. It's switching up how you film, how you put text on screen, the angles, the type of cuts that you're doing. Change your hooks up. Throw in some trending sounds every now and then and see if that's what they want to see, because that's really helpful for growth of account. Not every piece of content should, but some can and mix it up, right? There's that mix that you got to be really aware of what's the purpose behind this video. And does that match the strategy and the stage that I'm in my business and that I'm looking for?
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people on here who didn't do the blueprints, but, and hopefully it's okay to talk about this, but the blueprints for me were like, no question asked, because I was just not great on social. I didn't understand exactly how to figure out my niche. There was just a lot of things where I was like, this is going to bring a lot of value to me and my place. But oh man, did Matt like nail it? Like, just follow what Matt's telling you in the beginning. That's all you have to do, and get the hang of it for a couple of weeks, and then start, really settling in and figuring out your voice. But because everyone's always like, well, how'd you do that? I'm like, I literally did what they coached me on. And then as I
grew, allowed yourself the time to go through that process. Yeah. And I think even those that are it doesn't matter where they're at in their education, whether in the challenge, blueprints, they're looking for that quick 1 week, 2 week win. Mm-hmm. And even the process you're describing, it takes a little time.
Yeah, I didn't get my first commission. Day 26 was my first commission. Okay. I remember on my goal sheet, I should have brought it to show you how great, like, it looks insane because I do it every morning, most mornings. But anyways, I remember I'm going to celebrate when I get to 1,000 followers, because you didn't know, like, you're going in and you're hearing people that's taking them like 5 months to get to 1,000. And then someone's like, I got to 1,000 in a day. So I was like, oh my gosh, if I hit 1,000, this is going to be gold. Mm-hmm. And I remember I screenshotted on my phone when I hit 1,000, and my kids are jumping up and down and celebrating. My husband's celebrating. They don't know why. They're like, oh, yay. Like, what is that? I was like, I hit 1,000. I have arrived. And so I never forget the excitement. I track my progress, because the days where I'm like, oh, I'm just not. It's like, Bree, you hit your goal way before you ever wanted. I remember what my goal was to hit 1,000 followers. I remember, what the steps that I was like, okay, this is the goal. And I crushed them. But then there's days where you're like, I'm failing. I'm not doing this right. And so then I just go back and I'm like, oh, look at what I did. I did all these things. And I was ecstatic to even make a commission 26 days in. And this other girl messaged me. She goes, it's been 7 days. I haven't gotten anything. I'm like, I would have jumped up and down. I would have been so pumped, but everyone's situation's different. But it all comes down to like your mindset and what you told yourself. Because to me, 7 days, like, I don't even know what I would have done. I would have been so excited. And for her, she was so devastated. And I was like, no, flip the switch. That's amazing that you're doing all the things you're doing day 7. So I think it's definitely like, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon, 110%. Because even if you are doing really well in the beginning, like, they even say this, and Dave talks about it, like, there's lows and there's dips and there's adjustments that need made. And so you got to show up and be ready for that. And wherever that comes and however that shows up. So I've had fun with it the whole time. And I always tell Jessica, like, I'm here for the long run. Like, even if I feel like I'm failing, I'll message her. But she's always so wonderful at, like, coaching and, motivating.
She is as consistent as they come, and she is just
and she'll tell you that.
There's no other word. She's a freaking boss.
I'm pretty sure I remember. I think it was Jessica. I kind of like, I didn't groom through mentors, but you just try and connect with people. But I'm pretty sure it's Jessica. I should go back and look. And I remember, I don't ever talk about like money on here, but I remember telling her my goal is X, and that would just be so great to achieve in a year. And like, I'm thinking my goal to her was amazing. And she just like, she was like, you need to up your ante, girl. What in the hell? Like, that ain't shit for a year. Like, and I was like, wait, what? And she was like, you are not thinking like a 1%er. And now this is all obviously captioned, but she didn't say it like that. But she was like, you're not thinking like a 1%er. That's awesome when you hit that. But you know what you need to be doing? You need to hit a goal for X, Y, and Z by 6 months. I mean, and she just changed my mindset, because she was like, why don't you want more? Let's get that and then more. And I was like, oh, like, I still remember that day. I was like, dang, I needed that. I needed that today.
Right. Needed to up it a little bit. Bigger goals. Because you already have big goals. You just needed, we always tend to not give ourselves big enough goals.
Yeah, it was just great.
Too big of like a goal for a short term and not big enough long term.
Yeah. And that's kind of what she was saying is, you're not, your why is there, but your goal is just not big enough. So then, it'll be easier for you to feel like you fizzle out, or I just, I just can't do it, or whatever. And so I really appreciated that from her. I was like, wow, okay. You're right.
Yeah. And, I know everyone wants the 1,000 followers. That's like we got to get 1,000 followers, but that's TikTok only, guys.
Yeah.
It's TikTok only. You can go start an IG, a Facebook account, and put that link right in your bio.
Yeah.
On day one.
Yep.
And start going. So don't get hung up on, I only can be on TikTok. I have to get 1,000 followers here, and I can't show up and start my business anywhere else when you can. Yes, they are other platforms.
Yeah.
But don't use that as an excuse of why you're not converting, because there's other ways around it.
Yeah. I have amazing stories. Like I have a mama that was feeling down, and she had 126 followers on TikTok. And I said, why aren't you directing them to Instagram? She's like, oh, I didn't think about that. I'm like, direct them to Instagram. And 3 days later, she had her first commission, 136 followers for what she was promoting. And then she was like, I get it now. I'm like, you don't have to chase the number. You just need to chase an authentic audience. Yes, obviously the bigger followers as you progress will always be in your favor. But it's like debunking that thought of what it does to your mental state. And I had another mama who, she's amazing, but she was like, I'm just stumbling. I don't know. And I was like, whoa, one step at a time. Like, you can do this one step at a time. And she took the time to piece it all together, because I think what she was trying to do is just get on social right away, and she didn't have a plan, which is fine. But if you don't have your plan, what are you talking for? Like, what are you promoting? And now, like, checking in with her, she's doing phenomenal. She's done it for 2 months. And I'm like, see, you were so rushed to get going, where you just took a couple of days and a week to set your goals and then implement. And now look at where you're at. So it's cool.
That's where the business plan on day 5, guys.
Yes. I think that was key for her, because she was trying to like run through it. And I was like, no, do that intentionally.
Right. It really, if you really sit back and go back and review your business plan that's on day 5, forget it. Don't even, like, we're not talking the blueprint offer part, anything like that. Just the teaching of the business plan. It will help you figure out your audience, your niche, the content, where to start, what to even go put into Chat GPT if you need that help with a little bit of inspiration, all of it to get you going. If you really dive in and take the time. And I think so many people rush through that step. They don't take the time to really sit in strategy and planning, because that's what it is you've got to have a little bit of strategy. You've got to have a little bit of a plan. It can't just be like, I'm going to make a quick video and tell somebody to click my link in bio. Well, how are you showing up for your audience? Who's your ideal audience? How are you going to connect with your ideal audience? How are you going to be exciting and entertaining while educating your audience, right? There's so many different elements that are involved in that. What are your thoughts when you hear this?
100%. To be honest, to back up, when it was like, who are your audience? How are you telling your story? Where I in the beginning was struggling so much, because most of the people I was following to get inspiration, their story was like, I was either a stay-at-home mom, or I was working this job and I just couldn't get out of the grind. I was still living paycheck to paycheck, or close to, like, one emergency away from something. And I was like, I don't know how. I was once in that position, and I changed that, and I'm not in that position. So, like, how can I tell my story and still be a hook? Like, my story is not necessarily that. It once was, but that's not why I went into affiliate marketing. I went in because I want to catapult my real estate goals. Like, I want to do a bunch of real estate. And then I remember I was on a call with Jess, and she's like, so why isn't that your story? And I was like, but I don't. And then I was like, I'm really overthinking this. And so then I wrote it down. Like, I transitioned to being a stay-at-home mom after my first 2 kids. I didn't get to be home with them. That was a really hard transition. So I talk about that a lot. I talk about, like, how I want to create generational wealth, and I'm not scared to talk about that. I just finally was like, oh, you're right. You're right. And then I had a tip from someone that said, anytime you talk to someone and they're willing to tell you what's going on and what their why might be, use that on a notebook and use that for your audience. You know, when you're doing a live or you're doing a reel, go back to that. What were they telling you? What was the majority of the people you're connecting with telling you? You know, I have a lot of moms who are like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for groceries. So I talk about that a lot, or whatever it is. I found that to be a very great key piece of advice, because that's my audience. So whatever your audience is telling you, you know, I don't have enough for retirement, or whatever it is, use that as your storytelling, and you won't ever run out of ideas. Like mine just goes 24/7.
Let them tell you. But the first part is, you know, you got to determine your why. You got to determine your story. And, you know, I talked about this on one of the live trainings yesterday with Blueprints members, is everyone has a why. And a lot of people think they don't because they don't have some big traumatic moment.
Yeah.
And it's not about having a big moment of transition or drama or pain in your life. Sometimes it's just looking at, why did you join the challenge? Mm-hmm. What were you looking to achieve for yourself? Like, you wanted to dive into and accelerate your real estate game. Mm-hmm. Some are going after groceries. Some are, you know, they want to put a bigger deposit down on a house. Some want to be able to go to Disney twice a year and not worry about it and have to put it on a credit card, right? Sometimes there's just a bigger why. Why did you join? There are other people out there with the exact same reason.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, I love the legendary community. I love it. Obviously there's people that are always trying like spam you, but like as soon as I knew that, I was like, next. But when you truly authentically meet and hear people's story, you can also use that when you're talking to someone. Like, guess what? So-and-so had the same situation or similar situation, and look at where X, Y, and Z is now. You can use that. It's okay to share stories. And I love the community. I like nerd out sometimes that, like, if this girl could show up, I better show up. You know, there's a lot of times, or, you know, the retirement stories. I love them. I love those. I'm just like, dang. Cause I think about when I'm approaching retirement, I'm like, I'm not going to do anything. And then you got people coming on here who are like, I thought I'm not doing enough. And then they just blow it out of the water. I love that. I nerd out with the community because it's impactful and it helps you raise awareness. And then I mean, Dave talks about it, but I had a woman I was working with, and I cannot remember, she was looking to promote something. And I really think it was health wellness. And I think it was a program she had once done, and she realized it was an affiliate program. And I was like, awesome. And we were talking through it, and she goes, but it's like, you know, I just don't know if I want to promote it. And I was like, why? You just said it helped you. And it was this amazing thing. I can't remember what it was. And she was like, it's just so expensive. I'm like, that's on you. You are choosing to think that is too expensive for that person. And then I was like drilling into her. I love Grant Cardone. I love his books. I love all of it. And I was like, you need to read Sell or Be Sold. Like, you need to do all these things that I read years ago in sales, but it never hurts to reread it. And I said, and then I think Dave talks about that in his Millionaire Mindset. Like, that's on you, that you're deciding already before talking to someone that was too much for them.
Right.
If it made sense for them and they followed you and you had a connection, let it be their choice. And so it was like, oh yeah, you're right. And I
think project your own fear.
Yeah.
Your own limiting belief that you need to work through.
Yeah.
Right. That's a limiting belief that you have for yourself.
Yeah.
That you are projecting on a future customer, a future client. And don't give them that limiting belief.
Yeah. And it was just fascinating, because then, you know, we started talking about, I'm like, well, you know, based on what, and I can't remember what they were telling her, but like, what would you need to sell to hit your goal? And I think it was like 300 things would satisfy her goal. I said, you're telling me you can't find 300 people in a year that would not connect with you? And she was like, yeah, that doesn't sound like much, does it? I'm like, no, stop overthinking it.
Right. Yeah.
So it was just, I love that part of it. It's just fun to, and there's times where I need a self-check. I need mentoring. I don't ever stop trying to grow, because, you need to show up. You need to be better every day. And that's what I do. That's what I try and do.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, if you came on late, because I saw some of you just saying hello, you got to go back from the beginning. You don't know what your audience is. You don't know where to get started. You don't know, you're scared to get started. We cover it all. We cover it all today. We cover it all.
Isn't that funny?
All handled. And you know what? I love how I've shared this before. Dave has shared this tons. When you are starting out and you don't know what to share, you don't know your why yet, be the reporter. Mm-hmm. That's what news is. They're just reporting news. They're not the ones actually in the situation. They're telling you about the story. They're telling you, they're sharing the story of what happened. Be the reporter of other success stories, other people that you've read about, seen, who've shared their story, shared their results. Share those details. Be the reporter as you are educating and sharing your why and connecting to your audience of what they would find interesting. Yeah.
I think on to note that, and I see it a lot in the Legendary Facebook page, that people are like, but I'm just getting started and people want to know my income claim. And like, what do I say? And I'm like, you say that you're just getting started, but guess what? X, Y, and Z over here, that sounds like very similar to your situation. Here's what they've accomplished and here's what I'm doing. That's as real as it gets. Right? Don't overthink it. And
that's the best way to answer it. Or freaking answer it. You don't have to answer every question. You are not required. They are not your boss. They are not your manager. You do not have to answer every single question that comes across your feed. You just don't.
Yeah. And sometimes let Dave answer those questions. His challenge answers half of these questions that come up. So if you can push them to the challenge and then say, check in with me after day 3 or 4.
Right.
It gets answered 100%.
Right. Yeah. That's another great way. Absolutely. Because it's not your product. You're recommending it as check it out. See how you feel about this.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what it is, whether it's a health and fitness product, whether it's in the hunting niche or whatever, in the legal niche. That's what we did last week, 2 weeks ago on Decade in a Day. We're always rotating different niches with Decade in a Day to show people options. But it just let the product actually do the selling.
Yeah.
But you're opening their eyes to it.
Yeah. And if you're finding whatever you're promoting, if you find a whatever you're promoting and it's good, they're going to give you the resources you need. They're going to help you along the way. So I don't know. Some of that, it's like, just get going and let that erase that fear and then just piece things together.
Yeah, it's more of a limiting belief, right?
Yeah.
Why can't I? You're looking for ways why this won't work for me instead of deciding it's going to. So I'm just going to keep stepping forward, right? It's all back to our heads. It's all back to our heads.
It's easy to do though. I know Dave's touched on it so many times. It's your psychology. It's like how it was made and ingrained in your brain. So you do have to be intentional. I write goals down every morning and I tell myself affirmations because I know it's helped me. Otherwise, it's easy to revert back to whatever it is that you've always told yourself or, capped yourself at whatever. It happens.
Yeah, it's normal. And I think sometimes people forget, they think they're the only one with those feelings. It's like, nope, every other person does too. Trust me.
Yeah.
Even people that have been in marketing and on camera for years. Dave will even share, he has moments where he oh, should I really be doing this right now? Of self-doubt, right? Or concern. And you just step out of it. You acknowledge it and then you keep going.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm far from perfect. I was even posting on my Instagram last night. I have my face routine and I have all these patches on my head. My husband's like, you're going to let people see that? I'm like, I don't give a rip. This is who I am. I was like, whatever. It's just, this is what I was talking about today. But I don't know. There's some authenticity that you need to learn to show up. And then if you don't know what to talk about, what resources are you giving on what the items you're going to promote or the program or, whatever it is, what are they giving you? They always give emails and stuff. Can you pull bits from your emails and then go plug that into something? I don't know. It's great.
I mean, you can create so much content from one piece of content.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was one of these Wake Up Legendary where someone said that, and I was like, "That's." In the beginning, I was watching them, and I was like, "That's genius," and I went back.
Oh, I can repurpose like nobody's business. We could take the transcript of this. I could take every quote. I can turn them into still images that are on Instagram, just quotes, little audio clips. You can make little audio clips. You can do short reels with it.
Yeah.
You can pull content, have topics for other reels, create some emails off of the different topics we talked about today. You can create blogs off the different topics we talked about today. You can take those topics and make long form videos on YouTube. It's endless from one interview. And we do these 5 days a week.
Yeah. No, and I get so much from them in hearing like the little tidbits of what people do or their story of how they began. And I'm like, I can't wait to be on here and be like, I am leaving. Well, I mean, leaving my job. I could honestly do that at any point. Right now, I enjoy it, but like, I've left my job. Here's what I'm doing. I love when I get to listen to those. I'm like, oh man, that is amazing. And, but I also love listening to the ones that are like, I'm just starting. I'm not sure. I'm like, yes, you're just starting. Be proud.
Right. So Murphy asks, is that allowed? That would be great. So we have, I mean, the topics we talk about, we're not gatekeeping. Take every topic that we talk about on these episodes and make content from them.
Yes,
absolutely. And you can report about the guests that you saw. I know Amy Ayers does that in her lives, especially in the beginning. She goes, oh, I watched Wake Up Legendary this morning. They had this guest on. This was her story. These are her results. These are the struggles she had. She'll pull it up on her iPad and show it. You know, there's so much that you can do if you're open to how can I make this work? How can I find content? How can I find things to talk about?
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on, I can't do it, I can't find things. It's all comes back to your mindset of being open to growth and the opportunities and all of the little nuggets sitting right in front of you, waiting for you to grab them and go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I now don't run out of ideas, but in the beginning when they're like, you won't run out of ideas. I was like, I'm running out of ideas. But then I was like, okay, hold on. Take a minute. You know, where can I get some inspiration? And then I, of course, found inspiration on here when people would say those tidbits. I'm like, oh, so now I just have like endless flow of ideas. And then you know, I'm always experimenting and I'm always like rotating things through. And I think the biggest challenge for me being busy and being in a very tiny home that is not at all like my aesthetic design. I mean, there's just like so much things. I'm like, whoa, I just want it to be summer so I can be outside filming my reels all the time. But it's finding time sometimes to do all my reels. That is my biggest challenge. It's not my challenge answering emails or going like anything. It's like, I need the quiet time to do my reels. And if you can figure out where or how you're going to batch it or whatever works, you're golden.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. And you are in South Dakota, Rapid City.
I say Rapid City, but like we don't actually live in Rapid City. We live in a small town away from Rapid when we sold, but yeah.
I love it. I love that area.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my faves. Right.
Oh, you've been here? That's awesome.
My family is from
I should show my view. You would be like, what? Right next to me.
My parents grew up in a very tiny town close in North Dakota, close to the South Dakota border. So I'm related to everyone in their town because it's only like 30 people left, literally.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I know I'm by small towns. Like my view right now, I'm at my parents' house, but it's so beautiful. It's just literally the rolling hills out the side. And so I sit here all the time. And a lot of times I'll be like, Mom, I'm just gonna come work at your house. We're gonna hang out because she has the best views and it's so relaxing.
Yeah. And it's just finding a way to do it. Like, okay, I'm having this roadblock. I'm feeling limited in my house, right? Yeah. Go get in the car. Go get it. It doesn't matter where it is. Find where you feel peace to focus and just get what you need to get done.
Yeah. And I mean, the pitch when people are like, I work at 1 to 3 hours a day. I truly have to only work at 1 to 3 hours a day because I have too much going on. And so I have people connect with me all the time. Like, how do you do that? I'm like, honestly, I use the weeks in my advantage. And the weekends are usually busy. Do I work on weekends if it makes sense? Yes, but I cram a lot of things in. And I can't remember where I got the inspiration But I truly trade in like my Amazon Prime, like my streaming and Netflix at least 3 or 4 times a week. I'm doing something instead of watching TV because I'm like, when I feel like I have time to watch TV, I'll watch it. But right now I don't feel like I have time. So I don't.
And is that getting you towards your goals?
Yeah, no.
Maybe it is. Maybe you needed an hour to like decompress.
Yes, absolutely. You need to
when you look at it that way, but not 4 hours, 5 days a week.
No. It's weird how you'll feel. Like if you go to bed after reading a good book or an inspirational book or doing something that was like, okay, it's getting you towards your end goal. I can sleep like a baby. If I go to bed after like watching TV or something, I never sleep great. So I told my husband, well, I'm done doing that for a while. I mean, like a Saturday night movie night or, whatever. But like my husband said, like you're more driven than me because he comes home like he does a lot more physical work. So he comes home more physically exhausted and I'm like still just going. I'm like, and he says like you are the best consistent with your time. Like I wake up at 5 a.m. I make sense of everything throughout the day. When the kids go to bed, I plug in usually every night again. But that's just what works for me. And that's what I committed to because I'm like, I want this to be something that works in a year down the road. I look back and
your schedule needs. It's if you have between 9 and 10 p.m. every night, then that's when you do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like a 9 to 5 hours. It has to be before lunchtime. You have to clock into your social media. If trying to do that stops you from taking action, then do whatever works in your schedule so that you can take action every day. I don't care if it's at 5 a.m. or 11 p.m. If that's the time you have that you can show up every day for 30 minutes, an hour, do that.
When I used to hear people say they could get like, they'd have like 20 or 30 like clips always there and ready. I was like, how do they do that? And now I'm like, oh, because I have that. And now it makes sense. But so you got to give yourself some grace if you're not there yet. Because I remember batching and stuff was very overwhelming for me, but now it's so easy. But even like I show up, I do a small thing every day, no matter how busy my time is, whatever that small thing is to move forward. And what I have found, because I've really only been doing this for just hit 4 months. And what I have found is I am putting in more time for myself because I'm like, oh, I want to learn about this. So then I'm like jumping into like education over here. Or I want to do this. And I'm jumping into education over here because I want to, because I love it. I love every minute of it. Right. And so if I'm spending more time, it's because I'm doing it for like as a whole. I want to gain more knowledge in other things. It's not necessarily for the business side. So I don't know. Hopefully other people that are doing the challenge, they're doing that and they're just loving it the same way. Yeah. And they'll probably find that as they get going and get more comfortable, like you'll find that whatever it is you want to learn, you're just like going down this rabbit hole and you can't undo it.
Right. And then just be open to all the doors that are there as you go down the rabbit hole. I think that's in, my story, my life, when I just keep stepping forward, all of a sudden more doors appear, more opportunity appears, more ideas appear. As long as you just, next step. Okay. Open to growth.
Yeah. It's great.
I love it.
We would die without Wake Up Legendary and Legendary. It's so great.
Right? It's amazing. All right. You can follow Brianna on Instagram at the Bri Marketing, but is not marketing spelled out. So it's the TheBrimktG. And then you can find her on TikTok at just Bri MKTG. So BRIMKTG. Both of those are on the screen for those that are watching this. But if you're listening in, that's where you'll find her. What an interview today. You filled up my cup of energy. I'm ready to go like build out some new funnels, some new offers, and let's roll, right?
Yeah, exactly. Chase those dreams, I'm telling you.
That's right. Well, you definitely need to come back, keep us posted, reach out to me. I want to hear all about it. And of course, you can always reach out to me with questions, but let's get you back on the show in the next few months as well. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
All right, awesome. Take care.
Have a good day, guys.
What an interview. I got to tell you, every day this week has been just amazing. You've got to go back and watch these replays. There's so much gold in helping people move forward. All right, so I have one little detail for you because this doesn't happen very often, and I want to be fully transparent with you. As you know, tomorrow is Decade in a Day, and Dave is out on vacation this week. I obviously, there's not two of me, so I can't be live on Decade in a Day and live on Wake Up Legendary. So last night I did meet with our guests for tomorrow and record tomorrow's episode. And I share that at the beginning tomorrow, so I don't need to have the comments or the emails that we're not live and we're trying to pretend. I'm being very transparent. We technically are live, but the interview is recorded tomorrow, and you do not want to miss her story. It is pretty phenomenal of how to step into your own, and a lot of personal growth happened, and what that did for her business. So you don't want to miss tomorrow's episode of Wake Up Legendary. As always, everyone, have a fantastic Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.